Once upon a time, in a grand castle, lived a princess named Snow White. She was kind and gentle, but she had one small flaw. She was terribly impatient. She disliked chores, she loathed waiting, and she wished every tedious task could be over in the blink of an eye. Her stepmother, the queen, had a flaw of her own: vanity. Each day she would consult her magic mirror, desperate to hear that she was the most beautiful woman in the land. Her beauty was her power, and she guarded it jealously. But one day, the mirror spoke a new truth. "My queen, you are fair, 'tis true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." The queen's heart filled with a terrible, cold rage. There was no room for another beauty in her kingdom. Consumed by jealousy, the queen summoned her loyal huntsman. "Take Snow White deep into the forest," she commanded, "and make sure she never returns." The huntsman, though his heart was heavy, could not disobey his queen. But in the forest, the huntsman's courage failed him. He could not harm the innocent princess. "Run, child, and never come back," he cried. Snow White fled, running deep into the woods, until she was lost, alone, and exhausted. As dawn broke, she discovered a hidden grotto, a place untouched by time. And there, on an ancient stone, sat a curious object, a small, golden hourglass. It shimmered with a soft, inviting light, as if it held a secret. Hungry and tired, she wished the sour green berries on a nearby bush were ready to eat. As if guided by instinct, she turned the hourglass over. The golden sand fell in a rush, and in a flash, the berries before her were ripe and sweet. She had found a way to make waiting disappear. Wandering further, she found a tiny cottage, messy and in disarray. Remembering her magic, she flipped the hourglass. Instantly, the beds were made, the dishes were washed, and the floor was swept. When the 7 dwarves returned from their mine, they could hardly believe their eyes. Snow White became the heart of the dwarves' home. But her impatience grew. Why wait for a pie to bake when it could be ready now? Why spend hours mending when it could be done in a moment? She used the hourglass for everything, skipping the work and rushing to the reward. But the magic had a cost. One morning, she noticed a single silver hair among her raven locks. She felt a weariness in her bones that sleep could not cure. By speeding up time around her, she was unknowingly speeding up her own life, but she was too impatient to notice. The queen, learning from her mirror that Snow White was still alive, was filled with fury. "She has found a magic of her own," the mirror whispered. "A magic of time. But those who cheat time will find that time always collects its debt." The queen disguised herself as a humble peddler. She knew she could not tempt Snow White with vanity, but with impatience. She brought not a poisoned apple, but a gift designed to test the princess's greatest weakness. A puzzle box that would take days to solve. Frustrated after only a minute, Snow White reached for her golden treasure. She flipped the hourglass, and the world outside became a blur. The puzzle box clicked open, but when the sand settled, Snow White felt a great exhaustion. She had not aged days, but years in a mere moment. When the dwarves found her, they knew the cause. "Snow White," the eldest said sadly, "you are so eager for the future that you are letting your present slip away. Life's true joy is not just in the destination, but in the journey." They took the hourglass and hid it for her own good. But the queen returned, this time with her most famous trick. She offered Snow White a gleaming red apple. It was not poisoned with sleep, but with a powerful enchantment of pure impatience. A magic that would make any waiting unbearable. One bite, and Snow White was consumed with a desperate need to see her future. Forgetting the dwarf's warning, she found the hidden hourglass. "I just want to see my happy ending," she whispered, and for the last time, she turned the sands of time. But this time, the magic did not stop. The sand would not cease its flow. Snow White watched in horror as days, months, and years flew past in a dizzying spiral. She saw her life flash before her ease, a life she never got to live on to then. As the last grain of sand fell, she collapsed, an old woman in a deep, timeless slumber. The dwarves returned to find not their youthful princess, but a frail old woman who looked as if she had lived 100 years. With broken hearts, They placed her in a glass coffin, mourning the beautiful girl who had wished her own life away. It was then that Prince Alaric, guided by the stars, found them. He saw the old woman and listened to the dwarves' tragic tale. He looked at the golden hourglass and understood. He did not kiss her. Instead, he made a choice. He gently took the hourglass and turned it over, hoping to give back the time she had so carelessly thrown away. The golden sand flowed upwards, and the years receded. Snow White awoke, not as an impatient girl, but as a wise young woman. She had seen her whole life and now understood that its true magic was in living every precious second. Together, the prince and princess vowed to build their future, not by rushing towards it, but by savoring each and every moment, one beautiful day at a time. Good night, Snow White. Good night, Prince. Good night, Seven Dwarves. Subscribe for more storytelling.